Bean Stalker VR is what would happen if Van Helsing dropped into a Jack and the Beanstalk type fantasy universe, splashed a bit of roguelike elements, some VR combat, crafting, and a dash of vertical climbing, and of course, top off that delectable dish with some procedural map generation, akin to what would happen if Minecraft and Diablo simultaneously tried making the same map at the same time. And mamma mia, pizzeria, what a delicious combination of flavors in a sea of bland and repetitive recycled VR titles. Between this awkward period in VR development and the announcement of Facebook's work beginning on the metaverse, it seems like Oculus is the only one coming out with games with any meat on their bones. But hold my beer, claims VR Storm Studio, the developers behind the fun new early access VR title, whom I also thank graciously for a free key to the game in exchange for my honest yet humble opinion. There were a few things I didn't like or thought could be improved on, but I have to say I was really blown away by how fun this title was, how remarkably different it is from almost every other VR game I have played as of yet, and how much thought and effort went into some of its core mechanics and gameplay elements. Let's dig in a second here, but first, if you enjoy the content, make sure to hit the like button, slam the subscribe button, punch that notification bell. It's a really easy free way to help support the channel while also making sure you don't miss any future videos I make. Drop a comment in the comment section down below and let everyone know what you thought of Bean Stalker VR, and if you like my videos and my content, there is an entire community of like-minded individuals available to chat with on Discord, link in the description down below. With that being said, let's jump into the video and dig into the meat and potatoes of this incredible savory delight. I have to admit, I was being a little close-minded going into playing this game. While I have played and enjoyed roguelike games in the past, they're not my particular favorite genre of games, and well, let me put it this way. I've disliked more roguelikes than I've liked, and even the ones I liked, I generally wasn't that crazy about. They were just, you know, alright, meh, with a side of mediocrity. Bean Stalker has completely shattered my expectations of what a roguelike can and should be like in VR, and admittedly, I think my strong preference towards this game lies more in the fact that it's a VR game, not desktop, and in the originality and execution of its concept. To that end, the premise of the game is you are the Bean Stalker, a demon hunting-esque protagonist climbing the beanstalks in search of supplies, materials for crafting, and treasure alike. No foe is too strong and no obstacle too large to overcome, as you are given devices known as blade slammers that let you climb your way across virtually any surface in the game. While these allow for the main functionality of travel across the levels, which are basically giant sprawling beanstalks, you must hunt and forage your way to survival on these dangerous sky-high platforms. Occasionally you'll come across some seemingly man-made platforms that have puzzles for you to solve in order to unlock some chest with prized materials inside. While you adventure across the beanstalk, be careful to keep an eye on the time of day, because at nighttime the enemies become stronger and more numerous. You can spend as much or as little time as you want on each level, and when you're ready to leave, you go to a giant horn-like machine which signals for an extraction device, which is essentially a mile-long zip line. You go find it and get the hell out of there. There are, of course, both daily and objective-based quests you can complete for each level, which may vary from gathering a certain number of resources to killing a predetermined number of a specific type of enemy. These quests, upon completion of the level, will reward you with extra materials and resources for crafting new and stronger items and weapons to continue using on future levels and continue progressing the game. Everything about this game feels fun, engaging, and rewarding while playing. The crafting is on point. Being able to physically put the materials together in front of you and manually beat them with a hammer into the item you're crafting feels awesome. Added verticality of the level design makes combat far more interesting and far less linear and predictable. Gone are the days of swinging frantically in front of you until an enemy dies. I found most of the time I didn't see my enemies until they were basically right in front of me. having to rely on my hearing to determine where they were or which type of enemy was approaching. Hanging by a single hand from the side of a mile-high beanstalk while preparing your dagger with the other, not knowing whether the spider you hear crawling towards you is coming from above you or from your sides, or both. I would say the level design was thoughtful, but by definition it literally wasn't, because it was procedurally generated, but somehow the levels feel thoughtfully made. The natural obstacles produced by having to jump and sprint over vines interlaced around each branch, while knowing stepping too many inches in a single direction will send you plummeting miles to your death is remarkable. Having to jump gaps or fight off flying wasps while balancing delicately like you're on a high wire adds a sense of danger and possibility of death to every encounter. Just looking across the levels as I made my way through them, they had a way of making you feel so tiny and ant-like across these massive sprawling labyrinths of vines and branches. And then looking down and knowing that miles of nothing existed below you until you hit the ground was sobering, until you remember you're just in a game, which to its credit was amazing, but also I found frustrating at times. Sometimes it just felt like there was no way to ever actually discover or find everything, which again, I know by its definition is also true to procedurally generated maps, but I'm a completionist by nature, so maybe that's more of just a me thing. Additionally, it sometimes felt like I didn't have enough time to actually explore as much as I wanted, since there's only so much you can handle physically in VR before you have to stop, inevitably either just to take a breather, rehydrate, or before your body throws in the towel completely. Again, feels like something smaller, and maybe it's more just because I like to explore everything, but that's just how it felt sometimes. Aside from that, I'd say the level design felt pretty spot on. Sometimes there were weird extensive breaks in finding resources where it felt like it was impossible to find anything, though I think that is to be expected occasionally from algorithmic generation of any in-game assets, and I think in some aspects adds to the explorability of the levels and the overall attention to detail in the level design itself. The graphics aren't anything to write home about, but I also don't think they need to be. The graphics are more cartoony and whimsical than anything else, which fit the style of the game very well. I've always said this and I'll continue saying it, graphics really aren't that important to me in the overall scheme of things when it comes to video games, at least they haven't been for a long time. I'd rather have a functional, fun, and engaging game that looks like dog than a game that looks so amazing it could make me cry but either doesn't function or just sucks. Ideally, they'd be both, but let's be real, this is the video game industry we're talking about here. I digress. I know some of the video files will be disappointed, but despite looking like a PlayStation 2 rendition of A Bug's Life, Bean Stalker VR functionally is about as sound as any early access title is going to get. I mean, look comparatively at other games which have been in early access for 10 years and still aren't mechanically sound. You start to become appreciative when a game that spent less time being a thought in someone's brain than an entire other game's existence actually functions properly. Man, that feels depressing to say out loud. Anyway, I really digress. Basically, in a nutshell, the graphics are alright, and also I'm pretty sure I know why they need to be just alright, because with how dense and large some of the procedurally generated maps can get, that even with a 2060 Ti, there were moments where I was getting some serious performance lag, and had it looked any prettier, there's a solid chance it wouldn't have even been functioning, no exaggeration. So really, I can't complain. Like I said, overall, I think it fits the style of the game perfectly. So this might ruffle some feathers, but I feel like it needs to be said. As an audiophile, the audio engineering needs a bit of an upgrade. The music was fine and in fact was probably the best part of the audio experience in this game, but man, the Nintendo 64 footstep effects and weird noises the character makes when they jump is just not doing it for me. Like, why does he sound like a baby when he jumps? Not all of the sound effects sound weird or off-putting, only some of them. There were also definitely a few times where I could hear the exact moment the audio track cut out on a specific effect or something like that, and it really made me die on the inside a little bit. I don't know, maybe I'm just being picky, maybe the average person doesn't care or would miss it completely, and that's fine, but just something I noticed that was of particular distaste to me objectively, and in the grand scheme of things and in the context of this game, it is admittedly a pretty small thing, but I thought it was worth noting. Overall, this game is wicked amounts of fun. Extremely engaging gameplay and roguelike elements, well-crafted ideas and concepts that were translated beautifully to the mechanical and practical aspects of the game. This roguelike platformer-esque VR game might be one of the strangest ideas I've ever seen in VR as of yet, but I'll be damned if I didn't have an absolute blast playing it. Again, when it feels like the VR market is drowning in a sea of bland, dull, and uninspired recycled VR concepts, Bean Stalker VR is a massive breath of fresh air. Also, there's a multiplayer mode apparently coming in the future, which I think is definitely worth looking out for as well. I think if this game is fun by itself, it would also be just as much fun, if not more, being able to do it with a friend or a group of friends. All in all, I am excited to see what the developers do to improve on this early access title in the future and what changes and upgrades they make moving forward. That's all I got for you today, ladies and gents. If you haven't already, make sure to punch that like button, click subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment, share, all that good stuff. I am gonna go ahead and get out of here. I've got a beanstalk to climb. Thank you so much for watching. I love each and every one of you beautiful father muckers. Gramsy out.